Hi, I'm Ruby. I never thought I'd be telling a story like this, but sometimes life takes unexpected turns that force you to see people for who they really are. For 3 years, I'd been sharing an apartment with Mark, my college friend turned roommate. We weren't dating, just friends who split rent in downtown Portland where affordable housing is as rare as sunshine in February. Ruby, I made that pasta primavera you like, Mark called from our kitchen one evening. I've got a date tonight, but I wanted to make sure you had something to eat. Thanks. That's really thoughtful, I replied, dropping my laptop bag by the door. Mark's cooking was one of the perks of our living arrangement. He worked as a sous chef at Bellamy's, an upscale restaurant downtown, and often brought his work home. No problem. I added some new spices I've been experimenting with. Let me know what you think. I sat down to eat while Mark left for his date. The pasta tasted different. There was an unusual bitter note underneath the familiar flavors. How was dinner? Mark asked the next morning, sipping his coffee, eyes carefully watching me over the rim of his mug. It was good, but I felt weird afterward. Kind of dizzy and nauseous. Probably just tired from work, he shrugged. But something flickered in his eyes. You've been working too hard. My friend Tina stopped by later that day. We'd planned to go shopping, but I was still feeling off. You look terrible, she said bluntly, feeling my forehead. Have you taken your temperature? I'm just tired, and my stomach's been weird. This is the third time this month you've canceled plans because you felt sick, Tina said, frowning. Always after eating something Mark made. Don't you think that's strange? I laughed. What are you suggesting? That my roommate is poisoning me? Come on, Tina. I'm just saying it's a pattern. My cousin's a doctor at Providence. Why don't you come in tomorrow? I can get you an appointment with Dr. Adams. Fine, if it'll make you happy. The next day in Dr. Adams's office, everything changed. Ruby, Dr. Adams said, looking at my test results with a concerned expression. There are trace amounts of something unusual in your system. Have you been taking any medications? Supplements? No, nothing new. What about your food? Anything unusual? I thought about the bitter taste in the pasta. My roommate cooks for me sometimes. The food tastes a bit different lately. Dr. Adams' expression turned serious. Ruby, these tests show low levels of thallium in your system. It's a heavy metal that can cause the symptoms you're describing. It's not something you'd encounter accidentally. What are you saying? My heart pounded. I'm saying someone might be deliberately introducing this substance into your food. Not enough to kill you, but enough to make you chronically ill. Tina, who had driven me to the appointment, grabbed my hand. Mark. It has to be Mark. But why would he do that? I whispered, my world tilting sideways. We need to document this, Dr. Adams said firmly. And you need to stop eating anything he prepares. I'm going to order more comprehensive testing. As we left the hospital, Tina turned to me. Ruby, you can't go back to that apartment. You'll stay with me until we figure this out. I need proof first, I said, my mind racing. I need to know why he would do this to me. You're sure about this? Tina asked, as we sat in her living room that evening, cups of untouched tea growing cold between us. The tests don't lie, Tina. Dr. Adams is sending samples to the state lab for confirmation, but she's already filed a preliminary report. I stared at my hands. I just don't understand why. Why would Mark want to hurt me? Maybe he's one of those people who likes taking care of sick people. What's it called? Munchausen by proxy? But we're not even dating. We're just roommates. Have you talked to his sister? Maybe Carly knows something. I nodded slowly. I'll call her tomorrow, but I'm not mentioning any of this yet. I want to gather more information first. The next day, I met Carly for coffee at a neutral location. Ruby, you look awful, she said, giving me a quick hug. Are you sick? That's actually what I wanted to talk about. I've been feeling sick on and off for months now, always after eating at home. Carly's brow furrowed. That's weird. Mark's an amazing cook. Has Mark ever mentioned anything about me? About our living arrangement? What do you mean? I don't know. Has he ever seemed frustrated with me or talked about wanting me to move out? Carly laughed. Are you kidding? He talks about you all the time. He's practically obsessed. I felt a chill. Obsessed? What do you mean by that? Oh, always telling stories about things you've done together. Keeping track of your schedule. He even has this weird notebook. She stopped suddenly. What notebook, Carly? She shifted uncomfortably. Nothing. Just something I saw once. Look, is everything okay between you two? I'm not sure. What was in the notebook? It's probably nothing. Just notes about you. Your routines, foods you like. She wouldn't meet my eyes. Listen, Mark has always been intense. Even as a kid, he gets fixated on things. On people, you mean? Sometimes. Look, Ruby, are you saying my brother is doing something to make you sick? Because that's crazy. He adores you. I don't know what I'm saying yet, I replied carefully. But I need to understand what's happening. Later that day, I met with my neighbor from across the hall, an elderly man named Walter who seemed to notice everything in our building. Mr. Walter, have you noticed Mark doing anything unusual recently? When I'm not home? Walter adjusted his glasses. Well, now that you mention it, he does get a lot of packages. Always taking them inside real quick like. And sometimes I see him writing in this book when he's sitting in the courtyard, real focused, like he's documenting something important. Has he ever mentioned me to you? Oh, all the time. Ruby this, Ruby that. Says you two are going to be together eventually. Says it's just a matter of time. My blood ran cold. He said that? Those exact words? Yep. I figured you two were dating. We're not. We've never been anything but roommates. Well, someone ought to tell him that because he sure doesn't see it that way. I called Tina immediately. I need to get into our apartment when Mark's at work. There's a notebook I need to find. I'll pick you up in 20 minutes, she said without hesitation. The notebook was hidden under Mark's mattress. Page after page of meticulous notes. What I ate when I got sick, dosage amounts of something he called tea solution, and disturbing entries about how I would need him completely once I was weakened enough. This is insane, Tina whispered, flipping through the pages. We need to take this to the police. Not yet, I said, taking pictures of every page. I have a better idea. I want to catch him in the act. 3 days later, I was back in the apartment with a plan in place. 2 tiny cameras were hidden in the kitchen. One focused on the refrigerator, the other on the spice rack. Detective Johnson, a friend of Dr. Adams who specialized in domestic crimes, was standing by. Mark didn't know I'd returned. Ruby, you're back! Mark's face lit up when he came home from work. I was worried sick. You haven't answered my calls. Sorry about that, I said, forcing a smile. I caught some kind of bug. Stayed with Tina for a few days. You should have called me. I would have taken care of you. I know you would. I paused. Actually, I'm still not feeling great. Would you mind making that soup you made last month? The one with the special broth? His eyes gleamed. Of course. Anything for you. Why don't you rest while I cook? Thanks. You're the best. I retreated to my room, where I could watch the kitchen feed on my laptop. Mark moved efficiently around the kitchen, chopping vegetables and preparing the broth. Then, when the soup was almost done, he reached into his pocket and pulled out a small vial. He carefully measured drops into the portion he set aside for me, stirring it thoroughly. My phone buzzed with a text from Detective Johnson. We've got it. Clear footage. Coming up now. I took a deep breath and walked back into the kitchen just as Mark was ladling soup into bowls. That smells amazing, I said, leaning against the doorframe. Only the best for you. Here, sit down. I'll bring it over. I sat at our small table as he placed the bowl in front of me. Actually, before I eat, I have a question. Sure, what's up? What's in this? I asked, staring directly into his eyes. Just the usual. Chicken broth, vegetables, herbs, and thallium? The spoon he was holding clattered to the table. What? Thallium. The heavy metal you've been putting in my food for months. The one that's been making me sick. The one you've been documenting in your little notebook. His face went through a rapid series of expressions. Shock, denial, calculation. Ruby, that's insane. Why would I— Stop lying, Mark. I found your notebook. I know everything. The tea solution. The dosage amounts. Your little project to make me dependent on you. You went through my things? His shock morphed into anger. You had no right. I had every right to figure out why I was being poisoned in my own home. You don't understand, he said, voice softening. I was taking care of you. I would never hurt you. Not really. Just enough to— To what? Make me sick enough to rely on you? Weak enough to manipulate? That's not care, Mark. That's control. That's abuse. No, it's love, he insisted, reaching for my hand. I love you, Ruby. I've always loved you. But you never saw me that way. This was the only way to show you how good I could be for you. I pulled my hand back. By poisoning me? By being there for you? By taking care of you when you were vulnerable? After making me vulnerable in the first place? There was a knock at the door. Who's that? Mark asked, suddenly wary. That would be Detective Johnson and my witnesses. They've been watching our entire conversation, and the cameras in the kitchen caught you adding something to my soup just now. Mark's face contorted with rage. You set me up? After everything I've done for you? You mean after poisoning me for months? Yes, I set you up, and now you're going to face the consequences. He lunged across the table, knocking my bowl to the floor. You ungrateful! The door burst open, and Detective Johnson rushed in with 2 officers. Mark Davidson, you're under arrest for attempted poisoning and assault. She's lying, he shouted as they handcuffed him. Ruby, tell them this is all a misunderstanding. I stood firm. The only misunderstanding was me thinking you were my friend. The forensics report confirms it, Detective Johnson said a week later in her office. The substance in the soup was thallium, matching the samples found in your system. With the video evidence, his notebook, and your medical records, we have an airtight case. Tina squeezed my hand. So what happens now? He's being charged with attempted poisoning, assault, and criminal stalking. Given the premeditation and documentation, he's looking at significant prison time. Has he said anything? I asked. About why? He maintains it was an act of love, Detective Johnson said, her expression grim. Says he never intended to cause permanent harm, just enough to make you need him. Classic controlling behavior disguised as care. Dr. Adams, who had joined us for the meeting, shook her head. The good news is that with the poisoning stopped, your system should fully recover. We'll continue monitoring, but the levels are already dropping. Thank you all for believing me, I said, looking around the room. I don't know what I would have done otherwise. 2 months later, I was sitting in the courtroom as Mark was brought in for sentencing. He looked different. Thinner, paler, his confidence eroded by confinement. His eyes found mine immediately. During a recess, he approached with his attorney where I stood talking with Tina in the hallway. Ruby, please, he said, his voice breaking. Can we talk? Just for a minute? Tina moved to intervene, but I held up a hand. It's okay. Say what you need to say, Mark. I'm so sorry, he whispered. I never meant to hurt you. I just wanted you to love me back. I thought if you needed me, you'd eventually see how perfect we could be together. By poisoning me? That's not love, Mark. That's control. That's obsession. I know that now. The court-appointed psychiatrist helped me understand that my behavior was wrong. But I've changed. I'm getting help. When this is all over, maybe we could— No, I said firmly. There is no when this is all over. There is no future where we have any kind of relationship. What you did was unforgivable. But I'm apologizing. I'm owning my mistakes. Apologies don't erase trauma, Mark. They don't undo betrayal. I trusted you, and you systematically poisoned me for months. There's no coming back from that. Please, Ruby, everyone deserves a second chance. Not everyone. Not for this. I stepped back. Goodbye, Mark. Later that evening, I sat with Tina, Walter, and Dr. Adams on my new apartment's balcony. The court had sentenced Mark to 8 years for the poisoning and related charges. How are you feeling? Tina asked, passing me a glass of wine. Relieved, vindicated, sad in a way. Not for him, but for the friendship I thought we had. The most dangerous predators are the ones who make you feel safe, Dr. Adams said gently. It's not your fault you didn't see it. I keep thinking about all those months I felt sick, thinking it was stress or overwork. All the while he was there, pretending to take care of me. Walter nodded. The worst poison wasn't in your food, Ruby. It was the betrayal of trust. But you fought back, Tina reminded me. You gathered evidence. You turned the tables. And now? Walter asked. What comes next for you? I looked out at the city lights. Healing. Building a life where I don't have to question what's in my food or doubt the people who claim to care about me. To new beginnings, Tina raised her glass. And to trusting your instincts, I added. If something feels wrong, it probably is. Have you ever had someone betray your trust in a profound way? How did you rebuild afterward? Sometimes the greatest revenge isn't about making others suffer, but about reclaiming your power and moving forward on your own terms.